Finally, it is finally here. We have waited for months to get to this WNBA season and see how year two looks in the Caitlin Clark era of Indiana Fever basketball. Buckle up. It all starts Saturday afternoon down at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and I am pumped. And you know who else is pumped up? John Nolan. He's the play by play voice of the Indiana Fever, bringing back the radio coverage for the Fever because there is an excitement, there's an energy, there's an expectation with this group, and it is all justified. Get ready, folks. Let's preview the Indiana Fever on this edition of the Sports Rush with Brett Rump. Before we get any further, I want you to make sure to subscribe, make sure to give us a like with that thumbs up, and be sure to share this channel with all of your friends on social media so we can get this thing going, because now we've got it kind of figured out and we're getting you plenty of content. You can go through and you can check out our videos. You can check through our shorts. We've got it all right there for you, covering your local sports, your Indiana sports. We're on top of it here with the Sports Rush with Brett Rump on YouTube. And all you have to do is just click that button to make sure you subscribe. Well, it is year two of Caitlin Clark's era and a couple of major changes. The first is at head coach, where Stephanie White comes in, and I think this is great for the Indiana Fever. Christy Sides just was not quite the person that you wanted with a championship caliber roster. Now you've got players that want to play with Caitlin Clark. You know, we talked about this last year. A lot of the national media wanted to say, I don't think a lot of players are going to want to go play with her. Well, yeah, we were the ones that were right, saying players will be lining up to play with Caitlin Clark. You see a superstar who is unselfish, a great passer, makes you a better player because of the support you get from Caitlin Clark on the floor, the attention that she draws defensively. Who wouldn't want that? And we know that players did line up, and the Fever made their pick on who was going to fit culturally and with the way they played basketball. And so you end up with players like DeWanna Bonner, someone who's got a championship pedigree. You've got a player like Natasha Howard, who helps you on the glass. Aaliyah Boston, it's going to be interesting. Aaliyah Boston was the number one player on the team. Then she fell down to about the number two player, and last year slipped to number three. She better get her act in gear. It better be a good year for Aaliyah Boston, or Aaliyah Boston may end this season as the sixth best player on this roster. A former number one overall pick, someone that they were kind of building the franchise around, but she better get it going. She's got to put up some big numbers, and I'm talking on the glass, defensively, with some block shots. She's got to consistently put up points. She's got to shoot a high percentage because she's going to get set up with some bunnies, some easy shots. There's no reason Aaliyah Boston shouldn't be shooting the ball about 60% or better. But this could be the year where she's got to prove that she is truly part of the core group here in Indianapolis with the Indiana Fever. And you look at the surroundings around her. I mean, you bring in a Brianna Turner, former Notre Dame star, who's dealt with some injuries of late, but a veteran, someone who can fill that five spot, someone who can guard the opponent's five. You've got, and then, of course, like we said, Natasha Howard and DeWanna Bonner. Bonner is such a versatile player, can play against guards, can play against forwards, can help you on the glass. I mean, and just that veteran presence, just a voice in the locker room who may not say a lot, but when she speaks, it's so magnified, so important. And so this team has a whole different culture. It's got a different coach. It's got different upper level management. And you've got a different Caitlin Clark because she spent a lot of her offseason in the gym. Now, I think this offseason has been huge for Caitlin Clark because remember, she went through a long college season a year ago. She was the focal point of that Iowa team that had success the year before, so a lot of expectations coming back with Caitlin Clark as a senior. That put a lot of pressure on her. She played very heavy minutes. She was being double teamed, maybe even triple teamed. And I mean, it was physically demanding, mentally had to be extremely demanding. And then to have only a couple of weeks between the end of the college basketball season and being drafted and being sent off to Indy to meet the media and then getting camp started, it was just way too much for Caitlin Clark last year. She handled it masterfully. Unbelievable job of dealing with all of the pressures of the media, of the national spotlight, of the expectations, of the fan base that wanted to see her hit those logo threes. She dealt with that perfectly. And then a league that really wanted to pile on early on against her and eventually realized when not too much of the season had passed, this girl's legit. This girl can play. We were mistaken about Caitlin Clark. She is making this league something that it's never been before. And it's almost like Taylor Swift showing up at Kansas City Chiefs games. In fact, what's funny about that is Caitlin Clark actually showed up at a Kansas City Chiefs game. But the bottom line is Caitlin Clark is bigger, stronger. I think with the surrounding, the talent that they have surrounded her with, she is going to have an unbelievable year with the Fever this year. I think it's an MVP campaign for Caitlin Clark, and I think it's potentially a championship campaign for the Indiana Fever. I think there's only a couple of teams out there they're going to have to get past. Liberty, Aces, those are probably the two biggest ones to keep an eye on. But other than that, I think the Fever are right there. It should be a lot of fun. Can't wait to get it going. It starts tomorrow against Chicago Sky, Haley Van Lith, and Angel Reese reunited in Chicago. And we'll see how it goes down at Gainbridge Fieldhouse as the season gets underway. And best of luck, too, to John Nolan with his broadcasting job down there covering the Indiana Fever. All right, and speaking of John Nolan, tonight we find out what it's like in the broadcast booth without John Nolan present. John Nolan had his last broadcast last night for the Tin Caps. He will be definitely missed with Fort Wayne Tin Caps organization, the job he did behind the scenes, but also on camera or on the microphone. And so tonight, it's me with Mike Moz, and Justin Leiby's going to be joining Jaden Taylor on the television side. And none of those names are John G. Nolan. So it is going to be an adjustment for Tin Caps broadcast this year. But the Tin Caps last night had an unbelievable game. They were down 7-2 in the second inning and then scored 7 straight runs before West Michigan finally got back on the board late, made it 9-8. I think it was the 8th inning. And that's how it ended. 9-8 was the final score. Great relief pitching from the Tin Caps once again, kept West Michigan kind of stuck on that 7 runs that they had scored early. Gave the Tin Caps an opportunity to score 3 runs on 1 pass ball. Yeah, that happened. I talked about it in our video from earlier today, if you want to see how that happened. But the Tin Caps came back and won the game 9-8. Rosemond Verdugo with a pair of home runs. Braden Carpathios knocked one out of the yard. And the Tin Caps, who all of a sudden have a power surge. You know, they started the season. It took them a couple of weeks to even get their first home run. And now, boom, they've got the big boomsticks out. And Rosemond Verdugo, here's an interesting stat, leads the league in home runs. He's got 8 of them. Nobody else has more than Rosemond Verdugo. And he's not hit a single home run on the road. Every home run has been at Parkview Field. Hasn't hit a long ball, and it's not like he's taking advantage of a very hitter-friendly ballpark. Parkview Field is very average when it comes to hitter or pitcher friendly. It's pretty neutral. But Rosemond Verdugo has been on a tear. 8 home runs in his last 14 home games. So we'll see what happens tonight. Excited to see Miguel Mendez, who takes the mound after he pitched brilliantly in his Tin Caps debut a week ago. Hope to see you out at the ballpark tonight. If you can't make it tonight, tomorrow night maybe. It's the salute to the Daisies. And, of course, one of the stars of the movie A League of Their Own will be on hand tomorrow night at Parkview Field as well. And then on Sunday, autographs after the game, presented by Midwest Box Breaks. Come on out and enjoy some Tin Caps baseball. And the great thing is Tin Caps will be home all next week as well. So you got plenty of time to be able to enjoy Tin Caps baseball. That does it for us on this little video. Don't forget our live show comes up tomorrow on Saturday. Be sure to catch it. And once again, before you depart, make sure you click the subscribe, the like, and share this channel with some of your friends on social media. We'd really appreciate that. We'll give you a thumbs up if you want to do that. Talk to you later on the Sports Rush with Brett Rump here on YouTube.